Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Trish, and today I'm not in the kitchen. However, I am here to give a word of encouragement on a very important subject. As a matter of fact, I try to remind myself of how important it is by telling myself that it's actually a prerequisite to entering God's kingdom. But before we begin, let's set the atmosphere for a blessing with a short word of prayer. Father, thank you so much for allowing us to rest peacefully throughout the night and for healing our bodies from yesterday's stresses and waking us up in our right frame of mind and inspiring us to set a few moments apart just to edify each other. And we ask, Lord, for a special blessing through your reading at this time. In Jesus' name, amen. And so, guys, I think it is very, very important for us to see Christ as our perfect example when it comes to our Christian walk. And one of the ways that I think it's very important is our love for one another. Our love for one another will save us from a plethora of sins, right? And the passage I chose comes from Galatians chapter 5 and verse 13. No, the whole verse reads, Galatians chapter 5 and verse 13. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. And that's the part of the verse I want to hone in on, serving each other, right? So I went over to Sister White's writing and I wanted to see if she had any comments on this verse, which is one of my favorites. She sure did, and I'm going to try to read as fast as I can the high points from her comments. She writes, "Love is a silken cord that binds hearts together. We are not to feel that we must set up ourselves as a pattern, right? As long as we think of ourselves and what is due to us from others, it will be impossible for us to do our work of saving souls. When Christ takes possession of our hearts, we shall no longer make the narrow circle of self the center of our thoughts and our attentions." What a wonderful reverence for human life Jesus expressed in his mission, in his life's mission. He stood not among the people as a king, demanding attention, reverence, service, but as one who wished to serve, to uplift humanity. Many of us are willing to serve particular ones, those whom we honor, but the very ones to whom Christ would make us a blessing if we were not so cold-hearted, so unkind and selfish, we pass by as unworthy of our notice. I'm going to read that again so we can sink in, especially in my heart. Many of us are unwilling to serve particular ones, those whom we honor, right? But the very ones to whom Christ would make us a blessing if we were not so cold-hearted, so unkind and selfish, we pass by as unworthy of our notice. Sometimes we pick and choose who we want to serve as Christians, and it is not a good practice. And so that's what inspiration here is reminding us through Sister White, that we are not supposed to choose who we want to serve. No, I'm not saying that we should throw pearls to swines. It's a whole nother topic, and that's something we have to obviously take into consideration, because it is a thus said the Lord. You know what I mean? But in general, we ought to make it our business to serve mankind, right? Because that's what Christ did. The great lesson of forgiveness must be more perfectly learned by all of us, right? The greatest wrong we can do to others is to be unforgiving if we think they injure us in any way. this will not help us to serve them, because if we're holding a grudge and animosity and all of these things, how can we serve anyone? This is the most dangerous position for a professed Christian, because just in the manner in which he treats his brethren, so will the Lord of heaven treat him. And remember that the way we treat others, the way we treat our fellow man, the Lord is saying that this is the way you're treating me, right? So if we can put that at the forefront of our factors, if we can factor this in, that the way we treat others, Christ sees it as we doing these things unto him, right? It will make us straighten up and fly right quite quickly, right? I know it does for me. Goes on to say, where am I? Yeah, this is the most dangerous position for a professed Christian. Excuse me. Excuse me. We need to have higher and more distinct views of the character of Christ. We are not to think of God only as a judge and to forget him as a loving Father. Nothing can do our souls greater harm than this, for our whole spiritual life is molded from our conceptions of God's character. We have lessons to learn of Jesus' love. Be ye therefore followers of God as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also hath loved us, and hath given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet-smelling savour. This is the height of the love we are required to reach, and the texture of this love is not tainted with selfishness. So the whole plan of salvation is beautiful, guys, and every word that God gives us, it all comes together as a beautiful plan of salvation for us, because here he's telling us that we ought to sacrifice self, and as a result of sacrificing self, we are able to love each other the way Christ loves us, right? And so if we can factor in this as something that is extremely important, let's say, for example, if we understand the assignment, right, that we are to love each other as Christ has loved us, it will alleviate a grudge that we might want to hold, that self might want to hold, that self feels justified to hold, right? It will, when you love someone, you won't want to lie to them. You want them to know the truth, because you want to preserve that relationship, right? And so it is a nature that we have as humans. We know that when we lie and deceive, right, and when we're not an open book, and when we don't practice transparency with our fellow man, it's not an act of love, right? And so if we are practicing love, all of those sins, right, will be eliminated. It will be harder for us to do these sins, right? It will be harder for us to be unkind, to share unkind words, to carrying our hearts unkind feelings and judgments, and all of these things. A plethora of sins will be able to thrown out if we can just factor in this one, thus said the Lord, to love and serve one another. And I hope this is a blessing to someone. And until the next video, I'm not going to go on much longer, because I know people have, things to do and so on. But yeah, if we can factor in this one, thus said the Lord, it will help us a far way in our Christian walk. If this is your first time viewing, guys, join the family, hit the notification bell, and share, like, and come again. Until the next video, be blessed. Bye.